Some women describe it as an incredible feeling of release. And all that buildup and arousal and all that fluid is just like this letting go. And that metaphorically speaking, a feeling of letting go of all that pressure and tension feels fantastic. Welcome to the Get Your Marriage On podcast. I'm your host, Dan Purcell, a sex and intimacy coach for married couples. My mission is to help you build and maintain a sexually vibrant and emotionally intimate marriage. Join me each week as we explore principles and practical tools based on Christian values to create the passionate, joyful, and thriving marriage you're designed to have. Years ago, my wife and I were on our way to a romantic getaway. We found a brave soul to watch our 6 children so that we can have a much-needed break, just the two of us, and to relax and just enjoy each other for a weekend. On the way, we were listening, or I think we're reading something, and we came across this concept of female ejaculation, which is a really new concept to us at the time. And we were like, fascinating. I wonder what that's about. Some people call it squirting. In other words, it's this phenomenon that happens with a certain level of arousal. The woman's body can release a lot of liquid. And it's not like ejaculate, like what a man releases when he orgasms, but it's this like sensation that we're like, I didn't know our bodies do that. That sounds fascinating. Let's try it this weekend. Well, let me just tell you that it is a thing. It's a very wonderful thing. And it's a very popular topic. A lot of people search our website about it. People have found it in our Intimately Us app where we talk about how this happens and how to do it. So in this episode, I want to satisfy your curiosity and give you a step-by-step complete how-to guide for squirting or female ejaculation. Also, you'll learn why many people find that it's incredible and how it can help you as a couple strengthen your intimate bond by incorporating something novel, something kind of fresh and new in your own relationship. Ready? Let's go. First, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Dan Purcell. I am a marriage and intimacy coach, and my wife and I are the creators of the Intimately Us app, and we're the founders of Get Your Marriage On. We're on a mission to help couples improve sex and intimacy in their marriages, and this podcast is one of the many things we do. Female ejaculation is sometimes called squirting. So, what exactly is squirting? Female ejaculation is when the vulva releases fluid from the urethra in response to sexual stimulation. Many people call this squirting. Unlike the male orgasm, it is not necessarily the same as an orgasm, although it is possible for the wife to squirt along with experiencing an orgasm simultaneously. This discharge from the vulva, by the way, is different from regular vaginal lubrication because, and you can tell, the fluid is usually very clear and watery, and it can range from just a few drops to maybe even a half a cup, like a lot of fluid here. Now, every woman is different. And here's the cool science. The fluid in the body comes from what's called the Skene's gland, which is sometimes called the female prostate. And just to nerd out here a little bit, as a fetus in your mother's womb, the same basic building blocks that form the prostate in the man, that building block turns into the Skene's gland in the woman. And this is the gland that gets stimulated and fills with fluid that helps with the female ejaculation process. So when you're stimulated the right way, which we'll talk about how to do, the Skene's gland, this area fills with fluid, which is then expelled through the urethra. But it's not urine from the bladder. In fact, you can empty your bladder before you have sex and still squirt copious amounts of fluid if you're that type of a person. So anyway, research suggests that anywhere from 10 to 50% of women have experienced squirting, but some of them aren't aware that they're capable of it because they haven't had the right stimulation, or they felt the oncoming sensation and didn't know what it was, so they're like, oh, I don't like that feeling, so they stopped the stimulation. Or they thought it was just pee and they got embarrassed, so they didn't want to do that again. So, why should you even care about this? Let me tell you why many couples find this so incredible. First of all, it's novel, it's new, and our brains like new things. If you've been married a long time, you have this desire to spice things up, right? You want to add newness and freshness to your established marriage. So for a lot of couples, this is one fun way they can add more novelty to their regular routine to make things kind of a little more special in the bedroom. Second, the physical sensation is amazing. Some women describe it as an incredible feeling of release. And all that buildup and arousal and all that fluid is just like this letting go. And that, metaphorically speaking, a feeling of letting go of all that pressure and tension feels fantastic. Third, it's not the same as orgasm, though they can happen together. You can squirt without having an orgasm, and you can have an orgasm without squirting. Think of it as like a bonus experience your body is capable of having. Fourth, many find the intimacy it creates is off the charts. It represents completely letting go in the relationship, not holding anything back from each other, and fully giving in to the pleasure of the moment together. And that level of vulnerability with your spouse creates this incredible connection. We have instructions on how to do this step by step in our app, Intimately Us, which I highly recommend you download if you don't have yet. In fact, one user of our app, she wrote this as a public review on the App Store, and you can find it on the App Store. She said, "The day I got the app, we tried making me squirt for the first time, and it worked. I'm so impressed with how they explain everything in detail." Okay, now, before we get into the how-to, let's talk about preparation because, frankly, this can get messy, but trust me, it is so worth it. First of all, you need to protect your surfaces. The fluid is thin and watery, so maybe one regular towel won't cut it. So get a waterproof throw, disposable pads, or even those special sex blankets you can find on Amazon. Some couples do this on a tile floor where there's towels nearby for easy cleanup. In other words, if you just do it on your mattress, chances are it will soak through. So you want something to protect your surface. Second, you want to embrace the mess. Part of this experience is the letting go of control and embracing the wetness of it all. The couples who associate this messiness with intimacy and fun have the best results. They have the best experiences. Because isn't life a little bit messy at times? Sex is messy too, isn't it? And it's wonderful and beautiful and messy all at the same time. Third, you want to set the mood. Now, this isn't a quick technique. It takes time, patience, and a high level of prolonged arousal. So plan for plenty of time, and remember, lots of romance, a lot of foreplay, lots of connection. You're going to want to go into this highly aroused and ready for some fun. Fourth, go to the bathroom. You're just going to feel more comfortable knowing that you've emptied your bladder before playing together first. Now, if you're concerned, this will give you peace of mind, knowing that it's not urine that your body is squirting, but it's something else in response to a specific type of sexual stimulation. Hey friend, let me interrupt you for a second. I have 3 things you need to know. Number 1 is September is coming up, and this is a tradition we have at Get Your Marriage On. It's Sextember. We make the September month sexy, and this is why it's special, because kids are back to school, and you're ready to go back to a sense of a schedule, something a little more normal. This is the best time in your marriage to do something to increase sexual intimacy and strengthen that in your marriage. So we're having a celebration, a contest, a challenge, if you will. You download the Intimately Us app, and all those details are going to be in the app. And it's a month-long challenge called Sextember. Second thing is we have our men's and women's small group coaching cohorts starting on September 2nd and 3rd. This is limited to just 6 to 10 women or 6 to 10 men, and you're in a private group. Everything's confidential. You work with a coach, you go through a course in our program, and it's over a 14-week period, and it is a phenomenal program. We just graduated people in our last cohort, and we're just so excited at this shift that happened in their relationship. So be sure to sign up. You'll find those details in the show notes and on our website. The third thing is on September 26th and 27th. That's the last weekend in September. I am putting on a virtual getaway. Now, this is where you get a hotel room or you send your kids to grandma's house for the weekend, and you get to join me and my team for the weekend where we will teach you live some really fun things about arousal and improving sexual intimacy in your marriage. We're going to give you 3 specific new practices that you probably don't do much in your relationship today to really enhance sexual intimacy. The reason why that's so important is it helps you create a stronger marital bond. Couples with great sex lives have a strong marriage. So Do it for your marriage. All those details on our website. Thank you. All right, now let's break down the actual how-to in a 3-stage process. Think of it kind of like a roller coaster with 3 stages, right? You have the warm-up, then you have the build-up, and then you have the whoosh, the letting go, the release. All right, first is the warm-up. Think about this as long foreplay. Don't rush this. Spend time throughout the day flirting, thinking sexy thoughts about each other. When you're together, enjoy lots of foreplay, kissing, touching, teasing, anticipation. Build that arousal slowly. The key here is she needs to be highly aroused before you even start the specific techniques I'll mention below. If she's not sufficiently aroused, the buildup won't feel that good to her, but rather she'll feel annoyed. All right, so that was stage 1. Stage 2 is the buildup. And this is where the magic happens. For best results, what you want to do is target the G-spot, which is in the vagina on the front wall, meaning the belly button facing side, a few inches in. And you can feel like the texture changes in that area. That's the area you want to target. So for beginners, I highly recommend the manual technique. Manual means use your hands. So use 2 fingers in a firm stroking, like a come hither gesture. What you're doing is using this gesture with rhythm to stimulate the G-spot. And you're just massaging that G-spot with the pad of your finger. If you don't want to use your fingers, you can try these curved sex toys designed for G-spot stimulation. Those are really effective. Remember, combine your direct stimulation with whatever you're doing with clitoral stimulation. Remember, her clitoris is important. Her overall arousal is important. In fact, don't neglect her whole body. Her whole body is an important area to love on. So for maximum effect, you're going to want to love all of her and not just focus on one specific spot. So that's a manual technique. Now, if you want to do it through intercourse, here are some positions that you can try. One is the wife lying on her back with pillows under her bottom to elevate her hips. Or she can sit on the edge of a chair or a sofa with her husband in front of her, like kneeling or like standing. And you can use that to kind of get in position to stimulate where it needs to be stimulated. Another popular position is the stallion style. Some people call it doggy style. I prefer to call it stallion style. It sounds a lot more manly to me. Anyway, she can adjust the angle of penetration to where it feels best. The key here is consistency and listening to your body and find what works, what feels good, and keep doing it, even if it takes several long minutes to do. You know where you're on the right track when you start to feel a buildup of pressure that feels like you kind of need to pee. And that's what takes us to stage 3, which is the release. So, ladies, when you feel that overwhelming urge, like you really need to pee, here's what you need to do. First of all, tell yourself, don't hold back. Just relax those pelvic floor muscles instead of clenching them. Sometimes it might feel like that release, like how you bear down, like you're pushing in childbirth. What you want to do is increase the intensity of touch right at the peak moment. For him, he can pull out his fingers or his toy right at the right moment, and this often triggers the release. Remember, the key here is that need to pee feeling is exactly what you want. That means you're going in the right direction, so don't fight it. You want to lean into it and just, as they say in the song, let it go. All right, husbands, I have some tips for you. Number 1, do not make your wife a project. This isn't about your sexual prowess. It's about enjoying a novel and intimate experience together. It's about celebrating God's amazing design for our bodies and learning these huge capacities for pleasure that we have. So your reaction matters enormously. If you're really excited and turned on by it, she might too. But if you're like a puppy dog so excited about it, it can be a turnoff. I recommend you be patient. And if you're doing this, remember there is no time limit here. Take the time she needs. You're going to enjoy her and love on her and give her pleasure. Wives, here's some advice for you. Remember, every woman is different. So don't compare your experience to what you've maybe have seen or heard others do, or definitely do not compare yourself to porn if that's your idea of squirting. I think I'm told there's a lot of squirting in porn, and it's often very staged, very fake, and that's probably not going to be your experience. Some women squirt in streams. Others, it's just a trickle. But both are completely natural and amazing. What matters is that you're enjoying the experience. Now, for the both of you, here's my advice. This might not work the first time you try it, and that's totally okay. It often gets easier, though, after your first successful experience. Let me share with you a real success story. This is what one wife wrote to me recently. This is her experience. She said, "My husband and I discovered squirting through the Intimately Us app. I didn't even know that was something my body could do. We arranged for an overnight stay at a friend's cabin where we could take our time without distractions. We took our time with music, treats, and lots of flirtatious touching. When his fingers had done their job and I felt this overwhelming urge, almost like I had to pee, he pulled his fingers out and I started squirting. We were so excited it had worked. We've been married over 20 years and are so excited to be learning new and fun ways to be sexually playful together." Isn't that a great testimonial? I am so happy for that couple. Now, here's what I've learned after helping thousands of couples as a coach. If you follow every single one of these tips perfectly and you're still not experiencing the intimacy and passion you want in your marriage, the issue probably isn't your technical skill. Let me illustrate what I mean with a story. I worked with a couple, let's call them Sarah and Mike, who had been married 8 years. Mike had become fascinated with the idea of helping Sarah experience female ejaculation. He'd done his research, he read the articles, he listened to this podcast, let's say, and every time they tried, it became this like high pressure performance where Sarah felt like a science experiment. Sarah says, "I feel like he's more interested in achieving this goal than he is in connecting with me. And the more he focuses on it, the more I tense up and nothing happens." Does this sound familiar in your marriage? So by working with this couple, I discovered that Mike's focus on female ejaculation was actually his way of trying to prove he was a good lover. He's been carrying shame about their sexual frequency and whether or not he's a good enough lover for a long time. Some inadequacy there. And besides, Sarah had lower sexual desire than him, so he thought that if he could give her this amazing sexual experience, it would solve their desire differences. He'd feel like a hero, like this really powerful sex guy, and she would love it, and because it's pleasurable, she'll want to do it more. And this made logical sense to him, right? Get her to have more fun and sex, and then she'll want it more. And then their sexual frustration, their marriage all those problems will just go away. Anyway, although Mike has that logic, and it might be partially right, he needs to consider what's going on in Sarah's mind. Because for Sarah, she's had this feeling like that their entire sex life had become about what Mike's goals are and about his ego rather than mutual pleasure and connection. She told me, "I miss the days when he just wanted to be close to me, when sex felt like it was making love rather than trying to achieve something." This is what I see over and over again. Couples get focused on techniques, positions, or a specific experience. But underneath, there's all these deeper relationship dynamics that need to be addressed also in the context of the whole sexual relationship. In my coaching practice, when couples ask me about specific sexual techniques like this, I often get curious about what's really going on. And here's the most common underlying issues I see. The first is performance pressure. When sex becomes about achieving specific outcomes rather than connection and pleasure and play and fun and enjoying just some space together where you can put your adult pressures aside and just be a couple, right? When it's about achieving something, like checking something off or proving something, it will always kill the conditions that make pleasurable sex possible. In this case about Mike and Sarah, Sarah just couldn't relax and let go because she felt like she was being evaluated all the time, right? Is she there yet? Is she going to do it? Am I going to get there? Anyway, that happens. The next challenge couples face is mismatched expectations. Often, one partner has seen something in media, heard about it from friends, and creates this expectation, this sometimes unrealistic expectation, that will put pressure on both people in the relationship. True sexual adventure happens when both people are genuinely curious and excited. It's more this organic approach, not when one person is trying to prove something or try to force something in the relationship. Next is when couples use technique to avoid emotional intimacy. Hear me out here. Sometimes when you can focus on a physical technique, you can really kind of get tunnel vision doing it. It actually is a coping mechanism to avoid the deeper work of emotional and spiritual connection in that sexual setting, right? You get so focused on it that you allow yourself to make the focus of the technique consume the greater picture, which is love, connection, enjoyment together. So don't let your focus on technique replace emotional intimacy. The other one is desire differences in the relationship affecting everything, colors everything in the relationship. When couples let different levels of sexual desire drive them apart instead of connecting them, everything in the marriage becomes loaded. The higher desire partner often thinks that better technique or more intense experiences will increase their spouse's interest, but that usually is not how desire works. By the way, guys, here's a secret. The couples who have the most, satisfying sex lives aren't the ones who have the most techniques at their disposal. They're not necessarily the ones who are the most adventurous or have this broad range of sexual novel experiences they do, because that's not the definition of a great, satisfying sex life. Because you can still do all these novel, broad range of experiences, yet do it without heart, do it without depth, do it without connection in it. So, the couples that have actually the best satisfying sex lives, it's not about technique or about new things per se alone. It's that they are capable of a deep, open, and honest, intimate relationship. In their relationship, they've built this foundation of emotional safety, honesty, communication, personal responsibility, and mutual respect. It's something they engage in together and enjoy. So back to Sarah and Mike, this couple. Once they shifted their focus from achieving female ejaculation to building emotional intimacy and having fun together, all the while addressing their desire differences in their marriage, something beautiful happened. Sarah started feeling safe to explore her sexuality without pressure, and Mike learned to pursue her from genuine desire rather than from his own insecurity and need to prove himself. So, guess what? A few months later, Sarah experienced female ejaculation, and it was amazing. But more importantly, they told me that their entire sexual relationship had been transformed because it was now built on a solid foundation of trust, respect, intimacy, and love. So this is what I think your marriage really needs. If you're listening to this and thinking, hey, I want more adventure and passion in our marriage, I want you to consider this. Technique, it's the cherry on top of the sundae. But you need the sundae first. The sundae, the ice cream, that's emotional safety, where both partners feel free to explore and express their sexuality without judgment. It's honest communication about desires, fears, and boundaries. It's understanding and working with your natural desire patterns instead of fighting them. And it's taking full responsibility for your own sexual self while also being genuinely generous towards your spouse. Now, when you have that foundation, techniques like squirting, like what we talked about today, become a natural extension of your intimate connection, rather than performance goals or some sort of achievement that you feel like you need to unlock in your marriage. So I want you to go a little bit deeper. This is exactly the kind of work we do in our Get Your Marriage On coaching program, where we help couples move beyond just technique-focused solutions. Now, there's nothing wrong with technique. You need good technique, but it's not the end-all be-all for a great sex life. It's more than that. You need more than that if you want sexual adventure, if you want intimacy, connection. All these black belt techniques and everything we teach, they're all there, but they're all built on this deep intimacy in the relationship. And you need that. That's where the real work goes in order to really flourish as a couple. So if you're thinking, we've tried all these different techniques, but we're still not experiencing the connection and passion we want, well, that's exactly why this Get Your Marriage On program is for you. We help you identify and address the root causes that are keeping you stuck. These are the patterns. These are the communication patterns and unresolved emotional issues. We help you unblock all of that so you can enjoy a much richer and more meaningful, intimate marriage. So if you're curious, you're invited to take a free class on this topic on my website at getyourmarriageon.com. We work with couples like Sarah and Mike all the time who want to go from good to great, but who are ready to do the deeper work that creates lasting transformation. Okay, so squirting or female ejaculation can be amazing, novel, and a fun way to enjoy each other at a deeper level. I am reminded about how much depth there is for our capacity for sexual expression. It is limitless. Even couples married for decades can still discover completely new sexual experiences together. Remember that the key ingredients are high arousal, prolonged G-spot stimulation, patience, and the willingness to let go completely. If you want the detailed step-by-step guide written out with a few illustrations that are very classy and tastefully done, or some more specific techniques on other things, be sure to check out our Intimately Us app where we go much deeper into this topic and other topics like that. And you'll find the link to the Intimately Us app in the description below. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts about today's episode. Please, we have a private Facebook group, did you know? All about topics like these that we discuss on the podcast. And you'll find the link in the show notes, or just do a search for Christian Couples Improving Sex and Intimacy in Marriage. That's the name of the group. It's a private Facebook group. We'd love to have you there and continue this conversation. All right, my friends, thank you for listening. Next week, we have some other fun topics coming up. We're going to bring back a few guests later in September as we go back off of our summer plan and have some really meaningful conversations about sex and intimacy in marriage for Christian couples. And some of them are going to be really spicy too, so don't miss them. Make sure you hit subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a single episode. And now, go get your marriage on.